The other thing I think in 2024 that will continue is a recognition that organizations, in many cases, need to modernize not just their technology environments, but their technology contracts. And a lot of those contracts have just been renewed or copied and pasted from older contracts and don't have some of the really critical terms and conditions and capabilities that really need to be forefront in today's modern service contracts, and not just service contracts, but software contracts as well. So I think a lot of organizations will be looking toward modernizing their contracts in a way that allow them to continue to use service providers in their environment in the most efficient and effective way. But on top of that, the contract's not enough. I've got to manage those service providers. I've got to manage them to those contractual obligations. And this is an area where we see a lot of our clients recognizing that as they're optimizing their cost base, as they're optimizing their environments, part of what they need to be able to address is optimizing and rationalizing their vendor environments as well, and ensuring that they are managing the service providers, their technology service providers, to their contractual obligations, their performance obligations, and that they are actually realizing the value that were established through those contracts. Many organizations establish contracts and then don't really manage to those contract terms. And therefore, they're actually bleeding value that were originally contemplated within those contracts. So I think that's another area that certainly most recently many of our clients have been talking to us about, is a way for them to be able to manage that provider ecosystem to ensure that they're getting the best value from that landscape. I think if a client wanted to understand how, modernizing their contract base, probably the first thing they would do is have someone like ISG come and take a look at their contracts. It wouldn't even have to be all their contracts, just take a couple of their major contracts. Procurement organizations tend to, and no fault here, I would certainly do the same thing, tend to copy master service agreements and statements of work from one service provider to another. So they proliferate what could be an error or a problem in one to others. But if you look at some common contracts within the environment, pretty quickly you can determine where and what kind of modernization effort might need to be undertaken. And look, sometimes in fact, quite often, depending on how old the contract is, the service provider is also highly interested in that modernization occurring. Remember that they, with new contracts that they have with clients, are taking advantage of their ability to do things in a more modern way. Older contracts may actually be holding them back from doing things more efficiently or more effectively within an environment, simply because the contract terms don't allow them to do so. So I think many service providers are just as motivated as our clients to modernize their contracts, to establish relationships where there's a management structure around how the ecosystem operates in terms of the client's structure and the client's operating model and the service provider's operating model. And most organizations have multiple service providers, so you kind of have to extend it across the entire environment and the entire ecosystem. But I think step one is just a rapid assessment of what does a standard contract look like and where might there be areas or gaps that you need to modernize.